Okay. Alrighty, so what I have here are three items that have been tabulated. All right, so what I did was, let's say I typed this up and I put tabs between each of these items, and I need to put in tab stops. So what I do is select all the text over here because I want to only do this once. I don't want to do it on every other line. Okay, I've got a chat. Okay, Linda, you're welcome. And Tracy, have fun. All right, so I select all of this text here. That might be a huge table. You see, I selected all. And what I'm going to do is use my tabs. I can use my tab stop settings from the ruler here if I like, or I can actually go into the tabs bar and the tabs dialog box and use that. However, the advantage of using this here is that I can actually view my ruler. See, I'm going to pull it up right close to the ruler. And what I'm going to do is find the longest item that I've typed in. Movie is not so long. Now I've got 3 columns here. Gone with the Wind, that's pretty long, but I have a movie here called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is really long. And then I've got Looper. Well, this is where I want my next tab stop to be. So I'm going to click in here, and you'll notice that that lines up really nicely. All my stars line up really nicely. Now I look at my years and I think I want that to be flush right. It's not that significant here, but it can be significant with numbers of varying lengths. So I change that to a right tab there, and I'm going to put this in, say, at 14, and now it snaps to there. Now I find that this is far too close. So I grab my tab stop and I move it over. I use my eyes to judge, and I'm going to stop it there, and I'm really happy with that. Turn off show height to see what it really looks like. Yep, perfectly acceptable. Similarly here, you can see that this particular person, not me of course, has put in a tab stop before day. All right, so what I'm going to do now is put in a left tab. You've got to click through these really slowly, otherwise they play up like crazy. See there? There we go, left tab. I want day to start at 2 centimeters. I want souvenir, snow globe, and all that to be a center. So I change that to center tab, and I want to put that in at 6 centimeters. That's looking good now, I think. And right tab for the cost. Ooh, I can move this over some more. And you can see exactly what the center tab has done. If I hold the mouse over that, you can see it's centralized all that text very nicely like that. This is right aligned, all of this. Love it. And this is left aligned, all of that. So that's one way also of using tabulation. I can turn off my show height and it looks pretty schmick. Right, now here I have an itinerary. I'm going to go traveling. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So I'm going to select this, and I am going to I'm going to put in tabs. I'll tell you why I'm going to put in tabs now. So which is my longest country's name? It's Copenhagen. Right, so I'm going to click in there. Now, United Kingdom, France, Czech Republic, they'll be about the longest, so I'm going to go here. Okay, now I notice population. I want right tab, and I'm going to move population over to about there. And now must see, left tab to about over there. What's the matter? Countries lined up nicely. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'll put in an extra tab stop. Oh, point made. I've got a tab stop in there that I don't want. I simply pull it out of the ruler, schmick like that. And now I can see, well, that needs to move over considerably, and this needs to move over considerably. And now I notice that my text, Tower of London, Buckingham, Paris, Eiffel Tower, Louvre, and all those, they've all moved over under here. That's pretty gross. So I want them all to line up really nicely. Quick as in a wink, I'm going to do a hanging indent. How do I do that quickly? Control T and watch what happens to my indenting buttons. These buttons up here. Give a watch there. And you can see that I have a hanging indent setting there. So now tower and fountain and all monument have all landed there. But I want it there. So I've got to go Control T once more. Okay, very good. That's landed over there. I go Control T again. Now it's landed over there. Now I can see here I have far too much white space here. So I'm going to move population over, and I'm going to move must see over. And now I may have to move my hanging indent with it. Maybe even a bit more. Move my tab over. This is still a bit klutzy here, so let's move that a little bit more to there. So now that I've got all of this, I've got it all nicely separated with tab stops. Why did I show you that? Because I wanted to show you how to use tab stops. All right. Few people know how to use tab stops. What they do instead is tap the tab 100 times, and then you get a mess. You see, so this is far tidier. You just choose your own distance and you've got it. If I want to examine my tab stops, I can double click on here and on the little tab stop itself, and I get a dialog box opening which is showing me my tab stops. Okay. Let's say, where am I clicked? Over here. So that should show me all my tabs. Let's say I want to clear this entire thing of all its tabs, but I don't want to get rid of bold or anything like that. I select it all and I go Control Q. Tab stop's gone. Okay. So undo rapidly if that is not your, oh dear. If that was not your intention. So Control Q for quit, I don't know, but you can see that it still leaves all the bold behind. It doesn't remove the formatting. What would remove the formatting? Control Shift N. Control Shift N says go back to the normal, plain old normal template, get rid of everything. So that's a bit drastic, you see, so you don't want to do that. All you want is Control Q. Oops, a daisy, go away. Sorry, I've gone Control W. Control Q, and it gets rid of the tab stops for you. All right, now the advantage of having these tab stops like this goes both ways actually. I can now select this entire document, like all this text here. Mind you don't grab the one at the bottom because there are no tab stops in there. I grab every line that's got a tab stop and I go to Insert and I'll say convert that to a table for me. So it does, you see, and it says, how many columns do you have? Yay, I'm glad you asked, because sometimes it doesn't know. If it's chosen to separate the text at paragraphs, it thinks I've only got one column because all my paragraph endings, the settings are there. So I say, no, separate them by tabs. I want this all separated. And you might as well, while you're at it, go auto fit to content. So it's going to adjust the width of the cells according to the contents in that cell. And I go, okay. So it's put it over there. See what I mean? I now go to layout and I say auto fit the window. Now it's flush left, flush right. I'm so glad about that mistake. All right, so this is where layout is. In auto fit, I've already said auto fit contents. You can see it's done it. And I've said auto fit window. If you're not happy with the way it's fitted the contents, you simply do it again. And then you go back and say auto fit window, and it has done it for you. So these autos stop you from having to drag these actual edges in and out and in and out. And what I do too is I click in here and I adjust the height here. I say I want all my, actually I'll make all my two-lined, oops, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. This is bigger font, so that'll be 1.3. So all my lines that have all my rows that have 2 lines of text, I can change to have 1.3. And then you'll have some consistency in the layout of your table. Whoops, 2.3. There's one with 2 in it as well. If you don't like that, you can pull this in. And now you've got each country on a line by itself. Now this is too high. So I'm going to make that 0.8. I don't drag the edges of my tables. You don't get a consistent feel. I now see that's 0.7. Very good. Is this 0.7? No, it's 0.5. So I'll make it 0.7. These two should be 0.7 as well. And this can be 0.7. Okay. Another thing you can look at are the properties of a table. So I've clicked my mouse in this table and I go and look at the properties. In here it says that all the text, everything in there is left aligned. That's pretty good. And that this text wrapping, in other words, how does my table sit within my document? Is there no wrapping around it? Or if I typed text, will it wrap around the edges of the table? Probably 1% of the time that you're working on this is what you're going to do, is want that. No, I don't want it around. I want it simply set to none. If you want the table indented from the left a little bit, you can choose it there. So if you want it centered, you choose it there. Now you can see that it says preferred width 100%. Where did it get that from? Well, I said Autofit to the window. So that's 100%. So if I don't want that, I turn that off. See, if I don't want it 100%, I turn it off. My rows, I can say specify the height at 1.3. I actually don't want to do that. My column, I don't want the preferred width because they're all different widths. I turn that off. My cell, I don't have any preferences for either because they're all individual cells. Turn that off. Does it listen to you? Mostly. Alt text, if you want to add some text to your table, for example, it says, I'm really bad at spelling itinerary. Isn't it funny how you get some words? I always have to check it. Itinerary and it's one other word. I just cannot get, don't know, they haunt me. So I do that. So when a person hovers over a table, they're able to see that it is itinerary if you put this onto the web. That's for web purposes, you know. All right. So now where can tables mess you around? If I click inside this table, the table tools activity area lights up and you can see all my different aspects that I can have here. I can insert above, below. I can select a cell or a column or a row or the whole table for that matter from here. I can also click on this little button here to select the whole table. Okay. Now in design, I have a whole bunch of toys, you see. And as I hover the mouse over my favorite toy, I can see what it's going to do. And I think, oh, I like that. Or I like that. You know what I mean? And you can choose whatever you wish. And let's say, for example, I have chosen this one. Now that is what my table is going to look like. If I turn show hide off, that's what I'm going to get. Okay. Now, where this starts messing you around is when you start playing with the actual formatting of this. It can be an absolute so-and-so, you know. You can see here that I can remove the header row, which is this name, country, population, must see, and it'll change the formatting because it says, oh, well, you don't have a header row now. It must look the same as everything else. I don't have a first column. Okay, I untick that. And technically, it should undo the formatting for the first column. So you can see it's already giving me a headache. I don't have banded rows. Banded rows will want you to have gray, white, or blue, white, whatever you choose. Like if you choose a layout from, oh, I've turned off banded rows. You can put it back on. Okay, so there you are, banded rows. That's an example of banded rows. Turn it off and they disappear. Excuse me. What you can do with tables is certainly modify this. I want my header row back. Excuse me. I'm going to choose my original table again. Where was it here? Excuse me, people. So here's my original table. So what happens when your table drifts over onto the next page? I know some people don't like that happening, but what can you do if you've got a table that's 3 pages long? You know, you've got no choice. You can't squish it into nothing. Then you can't read it. So what you can do is have this heading here repeated so that it appears at the top of that table there as well. You can't split your table. In other words, have 2 tables and do that. It's got to be one whole table. So you go to layout, excuse me, and you say repeat header rows. And now your header row will appear here and you can't edit that because it's once again a field code that's coming from here. Okay, so that's been repeated at the top of the next table, and whoever looks at that can actually see the headings there. So it's not a mystery, they can see the headings there. You can add some coloring to that heading if you want to go to design, and heaven forbid, you go to modify table. You can see here it gives you the whole table. It tells you that it's based on table normal. That's fine. But here you go whole table and you go, oh no, I don't want the whole table to look like this. I only want the header row to have some color. Okay. Now, because that's so dark, I might decide to make my font white. Let's see if it listens. There we go. I have a... All right, so that is now how you can modify the table. Be careful with modifying the table because it can be really rotten. And was this the table that I had? Yep. So right-click on there, modify table. You can, if you like, put your name in there, and then it duplicates it so that you know that that's your table. So let's say we go RHD here. And I know that I've chosen a grid and table 1 and light. And I go, okay, and it takes a while to update, but it's not showing it to me there now. It takes a while to put your name on, but now your name will appear on that. Oops, I'm in on that. So right-click and modify table. I don't want my lines to be blue. I actually want to go into here and choose which. I don't want any borders. Did I select the table? Modify table. Outside border. I might make that nice and thick. Or double. Yeah. See, that's what the tables do to you. They give you gray hairs overnight. All right, so my first column needs to be ticked again. But what I do is modify table. I actually go into the odd banded rows, even though they're not banded. And I may, for example, say only inside borders. Technically, it should only draw the borders on the inside. You know, sometimes APA wants that. But consistency is the key. If you set up your tables in this way, and you do all your tables in this way, the examiners are not going to mind at all. I have never had a comeback on that. It's been fine, unless they've been really, really, really pedantic. But generally speaking, they're quite happy with you to format it as you like. If you want to see what it looks like in real life, I go to layout, and here are grid lines. I turn off the grid lines, and I can see this is what it's going to look like. If you sometimes have a table with a very simple design like that, and you have grid lines turned on, you may think you have borders around your table when you don't actually have them. So main idea is to go here and to say, I don't want to see the grid lines. Is that what my table is going to look like? Okay. Yep, they can be very narky. When I do tables, I generally sort of crack my knuckles and go, right, here we go. You can create your own table, you know. So if I was, for example, going to put a table around here, I'd go insert table and get it going. And then I'm going to go to here and go clear. And it clears all the formatting. It still leaves the table there, but it clears all the formatting. So you click on the down arrow next to the table activity area and just click clear, and it gets rid of the lot. And then go new table, and now it says style 1. Now I'm going to go RHD. And for my whole table, what do I want? See how it's remembered the last stuff I've put in there. It's very annoying. I want all the font for the whole table to be Arial, italics, and 11, for argument's sake. I want my borderline to be really nice and wide, and I want it to go around the outside. Okay, so when I click on OK, I now need to apply my table. And you'll see that this one here is called, oh, where's my RHD table? No, that's not it. Where's my new table? Looks like it's just gone and disappeared. You know what I do? Must probably be honest with you. I actually close the document and open it again. So let me go File, Save As. I'm just going to go to my Browse and go to Desktop. I'll call it Movie. And close it. And now I'm going to go to my desktop and open Movie. And it should have my style there now. There it is. Okay. Yeah, it's a really silly thing. It takes a long time to update. And takes you a while to you can't update it. And you'll see that all your customized tables appear at the top. In other words, the ones you've created will appear at the top. So if you want to play with tables, go right ahead and make yourself one that you really like and keep it there. Now, when you actually do that, it kind of sits within the template as well. Just make sure that when you transfer over that you don't delete that from your original table, or pull the template over and then make the actual table that you want.